All right, let's talk about our brains and our screens. We're going to go way beyond the usual conversation about screen addiction and look at a really fascinating new framework for understanding our relationship with tech. It's a way of seeing how digital design interacts directly with, well, the architecture of our brains. It's called neurogestaltanalysis. I know, it's a mouthful, but we're going to break it all down.
You know that feeling, right? You're just scrolling and suddenly an hour is gone. You feel like you're stuck in this loop you can't quite get out of. Well, I'm here to tell you that this is not a personal failure. It's not a lack of willpower. It's the result of interfaces that are deliberately, carefully engineered to work on our minds in a very, very specific way.
So, if this is all by design, then we really need to understand the blueprint, don't we? We're about to pull back the curtain on the exact mechanics that create that loop feeling. And more importantly, we're going to explore a new way of seeing and maybe even redesigning our digital world. Okay, so to get what's happening, we first have to look at how our attention gets captured in the first place. The source material for this explainer gives us this absolutely brilliant analogy for the experience: the perceptual snow globe. Just think about it for a second. When you shake a snow globe, what do you see? It's just a blizzard of chaotic little particles, right? You can't see the scene inside. In the exact same way, those infinite feeds and the never-ending pings from our apps are constantly shaking our mental landscape. They stop our brains from ever forming a stable, coherent picture of what's going on, breaking our train of thought just before it can ever settle. Now, here's where it gets really fascinating, because this maps directly onto our neural hardware. On the left here, you've got our low-level brain systems. These are ancient and they're optimized for surprise. Flashes of light, sudden noises, rapid changes, super useful on the savannah. But on the right, you have our high-level systems. These are the parts that need time to put things together, to build a story, to find meaning. Modern apps are almost perfectly tuned to keep stimulating those low-level systems over and over, never giving our high-level, meaning-making brain a chance to even get in the game. So we have this fundamental mismatch, right, between our tech and our brains. So how do we even begin to analyze it? Well, that brings us to the very heart of this explainer: a powerful new lens that's designed for this exact problem. Neurogestalt analysis isn't just some abstract theory, it's a really practical method. It basically says that for every claim we make about an app, like, oh, this is distracting or this is confusing, we have to be able to connect that specific design choice to a real measurable constraint in how we perceive things and in how our brain actually works. It's the bridge between visual design and neural reality.
The key takeaway here, the big idea, is that nothing on a screen is neutral. Every little choice, every button, every animation is either helping your brain organize information into a coherent picture, a gestalt, or it's actively sabotaging that process. It's one or the other. So to put this whole framework into practice, it gives us two really powerful diagnostic tools. You can think of them as operators to analyze and maybe even fix these designs. First up is a concept called estrangement. Estrangement is all about making the invisible visible. You know, it's kind of like watching a play where you can actually see the stagehands moving the props around. By revealing the mechanics behind the content, it breaks that seamless illusion and forces our slower, more analytical brain to kick in and ask, wait a second, what am I really looking at here? And here are some fantastic, concrete examples of what that actually looks like. You know, when an app shows you why its algorithm recommended something, or when it clearly labels a photo as filtered or synthetic, it's adding this crucial layer of context. It engages our critical thinking instead of just trying to bypass it, and that helps restore our sense of what's real. Now, the second tool, the cut, is every bit as important. If those modern feeds are defined by being endless, the cut is a deliberate, necessary stop sign. It's any design choice that introduces a boundary, a limit, or just a simple pause. Just look at these examples. Honestly, they feel almost old-fashioned now, don't they? An article that actually has an ending, a timer that gives you permission to take a break. These aren't just quaint little features. They are absolutely crucial design moves. They create the pauses our higher-level brain systems are desperate for, the time they need to process, to reflect, and to actually form a complete thought. So, this brings us to the central conflict that this whole framework reveals. It argues that pretty much every single design choice falls into one of two buckets. It's either a lure that hijacks our brain's machinery for profit, or it's a lawful cue that actually supports it and helps us understand. This table just lays out the battleground perfectly. I mean, look. On the left, you've got the industrial lures. Infinite scroll, autoplay, notifications that are totally random like a slot machine. They're all designed to exploit our brain's most primitive, reactive systems. And on the right, you have the lawful cues: clear endings, predictable summaries, visible sources. These are features that are engineered to work with our brain's natural rhythm, not against it.
And hey, this isn't just some academic debate anymore. What Neurogestalt analysis calls lures, regulators in the EU and the US are now officially calling dark patterns. It's amazing. Law, neuroscience, and design are all starting to zero in on the exact same problems, and they're even starting to use a shared language to talk about it.
So where does all this lead? What's the ultimate point of seeing our digital world through this new lens?
This quote really gets to the heart of it all. It uses that German word Umwelt, which means the unique sensory world that a specific creature experiences. You know, like a bee sees a world of ultraviolet light, a bat experiences a world of echoes. And the argument here is so profound. For our own human world to feel livable, the technology we build must be compatible with the biological limits of the brain that has to process it all.
Now, to be super clear, this is not an anti-technology argument at all. It's actually a call for better engineering. It's about shifting from a world where our brains are basically drafted into service by these apps to one where they're treated as partners in a cooperative process. It's about building technology that works with us, not on us.
And that leaves us with one final and I think vital question to think about. If we start using tools like estrangement and the cut, if we demand lawful cues instead of putting up with industrial lures, what kind of healthier, more coherent, and genuinely human-centered digital world could we actually begin to build? What would that even look like?